get it. Nice little gift box.
Hello everybody, happy Wednesday evening live tutorial stream. We are back at the actual Beading Dreams, and guess what? It's freaking cold here because we don't have heat.
Was that a drink already?
Yes. Well, I said frickin'. Is that a drink?
No.
Okay. Yeah, it's cold here because we don't have heat, which is on purpose because it costs about $1,200 a year to have gas service that we would use for approximately 4 days out of 365, and I refuse to do that. However, right now it's cold, so I'm going to attempt to distract myself from my coldness by teaching you all a tutorial. So they're actually broadcasting, right? Okay, cool. Da-da-da-da-da. So per Mary's request, we have heavy chains and charm necklaces this evening. So I decided to kind of take this a little bit outside of just let's put charms on a chain, because that's the easy version of how to do this. And excuse me, we're gonna go through kind of like all the steps from the most difficult version to the easiest version. Funny story, Lori, about I did actually, it's a random feather on my sweater. I actually ordered gloves. I ordered full hand gloves and fingerless gloves because I knew we were going to get cold, and I knew that I was going to need the fingerless gloves for being here and working, and I knew I was going to need the full hand gloves for, being outside. And then Amazon put my package on my porch, and then it blew away. So now I have no gloves. And I need to get on Amazon tonight and see if there's a button to click that says, hey, my package blew away. And thank you, Keiko. It's actually fairly cozy. So yeah, but I mean, I would love to be doing this tutorial with half gloves on. I couldn't do it with full finger gloves, but fingerless gloves for sure. So we're going to go through step by step how to actually make a chain like this, how to make jump rings, and then how to attach your charms. So you can basically skip any of these steps if you have those products already available to you. Like for instance, this chain I did not make. This was actually a vintage chain that came in. It was a short piece. You can see it's only about 14 or 15 inches, but it came in with a lot of random vintage stuff, and I went ahead and added leather to the ends just to make it long enough to wear around my neck, and then I used jump rings to add my charms. So we're gonna, once again, missing package, got it, cool. So anyway, we've got lots to cover, so let's go ahead and get started. What do we need to actually make this item? Okay, so if we're making it entirely completely from scratch, we are going to need wire, and we're going to use 12 gauge wire, and I'm using copper because my hands are cold and it's the easiest wire to work with. But you could use basically any 12 gauge wire that you happen to have. So that's sterling silver, gold filled, brass, bronze, copper, colored wire, craft wire, whatever you happen to have. Like I said, copper is the easiest to work with, and my hands are cold and a little bit achy, so that's what I'm going with. For our jump rings, we're going to need either 18 or 20 gauge wire. I grabbed some 18 gauge bronze because that was, once again, the easiest thing to grab my hand on. Hey, Corvus! You're going to need some charms eventually, and I'm going to show you how to attach charms with jump rings. Then we're going to do one beaded charm on a head pin. So this is my charm assortment. So I got a couple of enamel charms, a couple of brass charms, and I've got one bead that I'm going to do with a head pin to do a beaded charm. Ooh, balmy 0 degrees Fahrenheit for Lori. That's exciting. I'll be very excited when our lows get back to a balmy 45 degrees Fahrenheit and our highs are about 20 degrees higher than that. And then if you want to do my little kind of makeshift. Thanks, Corvus. Oh, you have to see the new charms that I got. Hold on. BRB. Where are those? I got new Ouija planchette charms. I have ones with sunshines on them and ones that say yes and no, and then I have ones that have cats on them, and then I have ones that look like cat faces. They're so cute. So, new Ouija charms, just saying. Not saying, just saying. If anybody wants to claim any, they're not giant, they're not tiny either. No skull one in this batch. Corvus. Kitty cats, but no skulls. So that might be the saving of you. And like, use my finger for scale. They're about 3/4 of an inch. They're so cute. Keiko, this one's saying hi. So anyway, I could put a plant. Well, I already have my charms picked, so we don't need to. The yes and no one, the yes and no one does kind of look like a skull. It's true. Corvus and Mary are not wrong. So, because there's a nose. So you guys are right. So skull Ouija planchette that says yes or no. And it has 2 little moons on either side. So the Ouija planchettes are, Carol, what did I say? $3.50 each. If anybody would like to claim any. Okay, and one for Corvus. We have several of each design, actually. We've got... We could do earrings. Let's see. The double cat Lori or the single cat face? That's fair, Keiko. Alright. So, 2 of the yes and no for Corvus. Got it. Thank you, Carol, for that. So, is that 2 or 3 of the yes and no, Corvus? I'm assuming that's 2 for earrings. Sam took... Okay, most of my pens. Thank you, Carol. Okay, so 2 of the yes and no for Corvus, and which single kitty for Lori. Got it. Sorry, that wasn't actually supposed to be a silent moment. I just got distracted because they're so cute. And they're new, which makes them even cuter, of course. Okay, I will give those to Heather when we are done. Okay, so in addition to my wire, my charms, my leather, I'm going to need some tools. So I'm going to need a dowel. And when you're using a dowel to make a chain, don't forget that the chain is going to spring up to a bigger size than your dowel actually is. So you want to make sure that your dowel is slightly smaller than your chain size. Also, when you're dealing with heavy wire like this, trust me, this is helpful in the extreme. I drilled a hole in the end of my dowel that is big enough to accommodate my wire. You're going to see why that works in a minute. For our jump rings, I'm just going to use my round nose pliers. I'm also going to need my chain nose pliers and my wire cutters, which is great because I have chain nose pliers. Whoopsie. I'll grab those in a minute. I'm also going to need a file. And I actually am going to be better off with 2 chain nose pliers, so I will go grab those both in a minute. I'm going to need, if I'm making my own chain, a jeweler's saw is going to be extremely helpful. And also, don't fall please, this tool, which is called a bench pit. And we're going to, we've used this in previous tutorials, but we're going to review how to use that in just a minute. So I'm going to start by just grabbing my chain nose pliers. I'll be right back one more time.
Those are mine. But you can borrow.
That's okay.
So she said
Okay, so now I think I have all the tools I need to accomplish this project. So we're going to start making the links of our chain. So this is, if you ever watch an episode of How It's Made or any kind of manufacturing video where circles are being made, the most efficient way to make consistently sized circles is to start start with a coil and then cut it apart. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to take our 12 gauge copper wire, and if my hands were not quite so grouchy, I would do this off the spool, but they are a bit, so I'm going to cut myself about a 3-foot piece of copper wire. And I'm going to start making my coil. So I'm going to take my dowel with the hole drilled in, and I'm going to stick my copper wire into the hole, like at that. That way, I don't have to actually hold my copper wire up against my dowel, and then I can just start winding my copper around my dowel. And the other thing that I could do, if this were something that I was doing a lot of, is what I would do is I would probably drill another hole through here and put a rod of some sort so I actually had a handle. Because this grippy motion, if you're doing this a lot, is definitely going to give you some issues. But so I'm just winding the copper, as you can see, around the dowel, and that's making the links of my chain, or making the proto links of my chain. And I'm not gonna make this much chain tonight because, you know, we don't want a 7-hour tutorial. I'm just gonna make a short piece of chain and kind of show you how it works. But it's exactly the same procedure if you're making 5 links of chain, 10 links of chain, 200 links of chain. You know, it's just about more wire, more time, more strength, but the actual technique is exactly the same. Okay, so there we go. Here's my coil. I'm going to switch hands, which means I'm actually going to have to take it off camera. It's a little easier for me with the dowel in my left hand and the wire in my right hand because I can actually pull the wire around in addition to twisting the dowel. Also, my left wrist is grouchy as well, so you know, everything's grouchy because cold sucks. Hi Tally Fett, how are you? So now that I've got all my favorite people here, I want to let you know that we are, first of all, we are going to be doing another weird and wacky gemstone tale on our podcast this evening at 7:30. We're going to be talking about the Napoleon diamond necklace, which is currently on display in the Smithsonian Institution, and some of the wackiness that went on with that in its heyday. Also, we will be unboxing a box, the mystery box, the box that we thought was lost, but it actually wasn't lost at all. I just thought it was something else and then never opened it. But the box from Silvern, not Napoleon Dynamite, the original Napoleon, the Emperor. So we're going to be doing the first 15 minutes or so of the podcast with the unboxing. Then we're going to switch to the Napoleon diamond necklace. Okay, so now I've got my coiled onto my dowel, and oh goodness, that's not cool. That wasn't supposed to happen. Okay, so now I've got my coil coiled onto my dowel, and now of course I can't get it off because of this handy dandy thing that I did here to help me hold it. So I'm gonna need to just take a cutter, make sure that it's a good heavy duty cutter. Okay, don't ruin one of your good cutters trying to cut this 12 gauge wire, because it's not gonna end well. So I just wanna, I wanna cut that off. So see how I just have separated that, and I am going to just twist and slide it, hopefully without poking myself again. There we go, off of my dowel. There we go. Okay. You're heading home, yay! So will you be back on for the podcast stream, Tally Fett? Will you be home by then? Because it's going to be in about an hour. No sleepy.
No sleepy.
No sleepy.
No.
Listen to the podcast. Sleep is for the weak. Okay, so now I've got my coil, and you can see I just kind of squished it together a bit when I was, after I brought it off of my coil. So now I'm going to saw these apart. So when you've seen me do jump rings and coils and things like that in the past, I have used my cutters to cut them, but if you're doing a lot of them, using a saw really is the most efficient way to do it, because a saw is going to give you a flush cut on both sides, which is going to minimize the amount of filing. Everyone should eat their dinner. I accidentally made 8 quarts of soup this morning and managed to eat exactly none of it. And anyone who's ever made soup shouldn't have to ask how you accidentally make 8 quarts of soup, because dang it, I have a soup that I can bring you later after both streams, so you'll probably be in bed by then, but I could leave soup on your porch. So yeah, it was, you know, it was one of those things where you're, you know, you put in everything in the recipe and you're like, well, that doesn't look like nearly enough. So you put in more and you're like, that still doesn't look like enough. And then you put in the rest and you're like, oh crap, what happened? What happened was I just wanted enough soup to share, and then Keiko, I made enough to serve an army. Okay, so now I'm going to take my saw, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to unseat my blade, and I'm going to put my coil of wire onto my blade, and then I'm going to re-thread it into this receptacle. Okay. I mean, it happens, Corvus, because it's like, you put this stuff in and you're like, well, but I want to have enough to share. That may not be enough to share, and then all of a sudden, once again, you have exactly 8 quarts of chicken soup or 2 days of pozole. Alright, so now I'm going to take my coil, and I have my bench pin here, and I'm going to just seat my coil in my bench pin. So the goal here is we want this to be fairly firmly seated in my bench pin so that it's not going to move, but I'm just going to start sawing. And so your goal is to have kind of a nice firm pressure with your saw so you're not like skittering around That's how you get good clean cuts. And also, like, checking on yourself is the kiss of death. So just trust and go with it. Sorry, cold fingers, not helpful. Okay, so I did the bad thing. I picked it up. So now I gotta figure out where I was sawing again.
Actually, I have 3 sisters. All my sisters. Now, I mean, sisters.
Well, and the whole thing in my family, Lori was like, the elder of my 2 aunts was when she was young, and I was not born yet, so this is just, you know, family legend. But apparently she was notorious for being like, oh no, I have too many noodles and not enough sauce, and taking more sauce and being like, oh no, I have too much sauce and not enough noodles, and eventually she'd wind up with a plate of spaghetti that's like the size of her head that of course she couldn't finish. And my family is definitely one of those, like, if you're storing spaghetti leftovers, the sauce and the noodles go separately, so she was always chastised because, of course, she'd already mixed her noodles and her sauce together at that point. It's also the aunt that puts cottage cheese in her spaghetti, so, you know, to each their own.
Hers is completely different. And I flashed out at her twice in very in-depth conversations in which I recognized that. I was very angry at her.
Continuing to saw. So are all your kids fled the coop, Lori? I'm sorry, but with food like that, I don't know that you would be able to get rid of me. And the cats. Don't forget the cats. Those spaghetti probably not their jam. Okay, so this is now okay, that one is red. So I can keep sawing these until. Hi, Nancy. How are you? Speaking of aunts who put cottage cheese in their spaghetti. Just saying. Oh my gosh. Thank goodness my cats appreciate the sleepy time, because otherwise they would be murderated, or at the very least locked out of the bedroom. See, my weirdo aunts who put cottage cheese in their spaghetti. Okay, so I got sick of sawing, so I transitioned to my wire cutters for this. Mostly because my hands are cold again and I'm having trouble manipulating my saw. It's easier to use my wire cutters. Also, not everybody has a saw. So notice, by the way, how much bigger these chain links are than than my dowel. Okay, so once again, this is why you need to use a dowel that's smaller than your chain links. So these are very similarly sized chain links to my sample chain here, the one that I did not Oh, I know. I'm like, why is it not showing? That's because I had it aimed at where my bench pin was. So these are very similar size links to my sample chain, which I did not make. And again, so this is 12 gauge wire, and this dowel is 1/2 inch, just in case you were wondering. Those of you who take notes, aka Lori. So if you're going to do this without a saw, this is how you do it. You're going to clip one side with the flush side of your cutter, and then you're going to flip that around and clip the other side like so. See, I'm really lucky that my kitties like to sleep in. Like, sometimes they actually have to wake up Elton to come have breakfast. Especially at this particular moment of it being chilly in Dallas and the kitties finding like the coziest places in the bedroom to sleep. So they're like, screw you, I don't want to get out of this cozy little blankety nook I've found, which is exactly where the heat blows on me while I'm laying on this, you know, thermal kitty sleeping pad. Like, screw you and your freaking wet food. I don't care. At least I'm pretty sure that's what they're saying in the morning. That's what I would be saying in the morning were I a cat in that same situation. So since I did wind up using my wire cutters on these, I'm going to take my file and I'm just going to give each of these links a quick file just to make sure that I've got my ends flush. So that does mean I'm going to have to separate them a bit. I'm just going to grab a nice flat file and just file the edges flat. Oh my god, me too, Corvus. Thank you for that. But, you know, I want to be a spoiled house cat. I don't want to be like street cat, please. I'm sure. See, luckily Mamie and Elton eat the same food, and Elton will overeat if he is given the opportunity. So I just have an auto feeder that just drops a certain amount of food at a certain time, and that seems to work pretty well for my little cat population. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that file real quick with all of these links, which luckily there aren't that many. Yes, I would love a cat life. Oh my gosh, that'd be amazing. I mean, that's also a good goal, Corvus. I think that both of these goals are good. Oh, that's unfortunate. So how do you give him pills, Mary, if he doesn't like pill pockets? One of my other friends wraps her dog's pills in like Velveeta cheese slices or American cheese slices. Cheese Whiz, so pretty much same. There's also they actually do also make a pill coating apparently that comes from the vet. Oh, so he's just being like a cat. Like I used to like these and now I don't. Cause that's totes a cat thing. To be like, this is my favorite, this is my favorite, this is my favorite, this is trash. This is torture. Like, definitely a definitely a cat thing. Oh goodness. See, and both of my cats are good with kibble. Wet food, don't like. Baby food, yes. And chicken. I tried to give them chicken last night and they were like, screw you. We don't want this. Okay, guys.
Don't know what they're missing.
Right? That's okay. More for your soup. And then my Pika who passed away a while back, she would not eat anything but kibble. Like no treats, no wet food, no baby food, nothing. Just kibble. Only kibble, nothing else. So I think that just the general consensus here is animals are strange. Okay, so something to say about making chains. If you have a tumbler, your life's going to be a lot easier because yes, I am filing these edges for flushness, but there are still, when I close them, they're going to be still little burrs where I filed, and so if I can take this whole chain before I add the charms and throw it in a tumbler, it's going to make all of that much, much smoother, and also it's going to make everything shinier. So if you have a tumbler, it's really helpful when making chains. Hi, Julie. How are you? How is everything going? We are making a chain. Okay, so now that I've filed all these, how do we make them into a chain? We link them together. So I'm going to start by closing one, and this is where, especially when you're using this heavy gauge wire, 2 chain nose are helpful. We're good. We are making heavy gauge chain. We're going to put charms on it, and then we'll be back at 7:30 with the podcast on the Napoleon diamond necklace, which is currently in the Smithsonian, that it had a bit of a wild ride before it got there. We're also going to be spending the first 15 minutes or so of the podcast unboxing the box that we finally realized we've had from Silver and pretty much all along and just didn't know it. Okay. So now I've linked my next link onto, and actually if you want to be super duper efficient about this, what you can do is you can actually close half your links and then link 2 links at a time, but we're going to go with just one. So I'm going to take that, I'm going to close it, and again, I will apologize because my hands are cold and clumsy, and my gloves that I ordered blew away. So we want to make sure that our joint is closed, and that is most definitely not. We want to make sure that it's aligned in all of our directions, like so. Now, could I solder these chain links together? Of course I could. Is there really a point when it's a 12 gauge chain? That really is debatable. I say if you do a really good job of closing your links, that soldering is almost redundant. Yes, we will definitely be doing one on the Hope Diamond as well, because I have a whole book that Diane lent me about stuff in the Smithsonian. Plus, I have a whole book on the Hope Diamond from when I was little that I loved. So we're just going to keep linking together, building our chain. So there we go. And we're just keep building. And once again, this is not going to be as long a piece of chain as this, because once again, this is not a chain that I made. This is a chain that I purchased, but were you to want to make a chain like that, this is how you would do it. So I've got 4 more links, and then we're going to continue with adding your charms. That's funny, Corvus. I mean, there are a lot of supposedly cursed things that wound up in museums. See, Julie agrees with me. Or I agree with Julie, depending on who actually expressed that comment first. But yeah, things that it's the populace is too woogity about.
Oh no, we won't.
Alright. 2 more. Here's the one. And let's make sure that's closed. Oh, yay, that's awesome. So when you are scavenging chain, the important thing to kind of try and look for is, are the links soldered together or not? If they're not, it's much easier to scavenge and rearrange, because you can literally just do what I'm doing and, you know, open them up, rearrange them, and close them back. If the chain is actually soldered, meaning that this joint here is actually fused together with solder, that's going to make your life a lot harder. The opposite of easier, which is what I almost said. So, hooray, those are not soldered, so that's going to make your life much easier. Okay, so here's my handmade chain that is mimicking my pre-made chain. Not a terrible substitute. So let's talk about now jump rings. So I've talked about jump rings a lot on this stream, and I just want to reiterate that jump rings get a bad reputation. I just murderated my ring light, apparently. Jump rings get a bad reputation. Okay, now I'm just murdering. Okay, I know.
Don't fear the jump.
What?
Don't fear the jump.
No, but I'm murdering all of the technology.
No.
I know. No touchy the thing is. No touchy the thing, and yet I touchy the thing, and then. Okay, well, I just have no ring. That's fine. As long as I have sound, hopefully I have sound. So, anyway, and I have that light either. I swear, it's like no touchy to anything. Anyway, okay, so jump rings. So I am a big advocate of jump rings. I love jump rings. Actually, I like them better than split rings in most scenarios, but it's very, very important. Oh wow. Was it while he was doing lots of cocaine or not? So it's really important when you're using jump rings that you use jump rings that are sturdy enough to hold what you want them to hold. And a lot of times, the best way to do that is to make them yourselves. Now, I'm not saying don't buy pre-made jump rings, because definitely buy pre-made jump rings if you can. But sometimes you can't find the appropriate size or either diameter or gauge or combination of those two of jump ring that you need to make your project secure. So we're going to just real quick make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 jump rings out of my 18 gauge bronze wires. So it's exactly the same procedure as I used for making my chain. I'm just going to, oh, Corvus, you had to go there. I'm going to use my round nose pliers instead of my dowel though, because I don't need my jump rings to be that big. I'm just going to grab my round nose pliers and I'm going to make a coil. So once again, big or small, if you're trying to make circles, starting with a coil is the best and most efficient way. Okay, so this is probably way more coils than I need. I don't know if we were all thinking it. Corvus, it might have just been you.
I was thinking it. I don't know what I'm agreeing to thinking.
Are you sure you want to agree? In
Maybe
this
I should
particular
check if it is Corvus.
instance. Yeah. Let's see. Start there and go down. Okay, it's really a shame that was not on camera because that was pretty awesome. Hi, Ace.
No. I don't know. There are definitely people who would pay big money for that.
But I think on this particular chat, Corvus may have been the one and only. Because she is getting denials right and left. So I'm cutting these the same way. I'm just going to cut flush with my pliers, or my cutters, and then flip around and cut flush on the next piece of wire. Corvus just called us all a bunch of liars. So apparently it's going to be a fun podcast tonight. Okay, Mary's admitting to it. Oh, sorry. All of a sudden my face is like full of the itches. Okay, so if I were a really thorough jewelry maker, I would file all of these right now. I'm not going to do that, but you would want to file these just like we did our chain bits. So now I'm going to attach my charm pieces to my chain, and I'm actually going to start with my middle one, which is the one that I'm putting on my head pin, and that involves, what do you think? It's a basic wire wrapped loop. Once again, you do not need to make your own chain. You do not need to make your own jump rings. You just need to make sure if you're getting pre-made jump rings that they are sturdy enough to hold your items. It means you want them to be probably about a 6mm and at least an 18 gauge. Alright, so this is my head pin piece, and I'm going to find my round nose pliers again and make my basic wire wrap loop. So a head pin, for anybody who is not familiar, is this piece right here. You can see it has a little flat end at the bottom. That is the head of the pin, and that's what keeps your bead from falling off. So I'm going to take my round nose pliers and place it at the top of my bead. I'm going to push my wire away from me, rotate my pliers an 1/8 of a turn, bring my wire back up over the top towards me, rotate again, go underneath. That makes my lady with a scarf. I'm going to use a jump ring to attach this, so I don't need to attach it to anything at the moment. I'm just going to hold across my loop, and I'm going to wrap. I want to start wrapping right at the base of that loop that I made, and then I'm just going to wrap down until I reach my bead. Like so. For me, that's usually about 3 wraps, and I'm going to trim that off. Being really careful not to chop the side off my loop when I do that. And then I'm going to take that little end that's sticking out, see that right there? And I'm just going to press that down with my chain nose pliers. Alright, so this is my center bead. I'm just going to really quickly do a layout on my mat here, which is going to be a little out of focus. It's not my center bead, that's my center. That, this, that, and that. So that's what I've got. 5 items, and I've got, should have 5 jump rings. 2, 3, 4, 5. Perfect. So I always like to start in the middle of my necklace because that way I can kind of see how I want my charms to lay. So if this is my necklace, meaning this piece of chain that I just made, I'm going to find the middle, and good job, Allison, I made an even number of chains, or of chain lengths. Oops. So if you want to have a center to your chain, you need an odd number of links because math is a thing. So we're just going to take this one off. We're going to pretend that one doesn't exist. So now we're going to once again try and find the center of our chain by just folding it in half, and this link that's hanging by itself in the center is your center link. So this is my center charm. I'm just going to set my center link out there so that I don't lose it. I'm going to grab my jump ring, and once again I'm going to use my 2 pairs of chain nose pliers. Okay, 1, 2. I'm going to open that jump ring up. I'm going to attach it to my charm, and I'm going to attach it to my chain. And if you're using a thick chain like this is why you need to use a slightly bigger jump ring, because you need to make sure it's big enough to go around the diameter of that chain. And then just like I did with my chain, and make sure that I close it up nice and tight. No, I can't see it. Don't make fun of me, y'all. There we go. Okay, so now I have charm number 1. So, this type of chain and this gigantic representation of this type of chain is a really good way to illustrate this, which is when you're dealing with a cable type of chain, can you see that each link is going perpendicular to the other links? Okay, you can, I'm trying to hold it so that you can really see that. So this link here, and this link right here, those are all parallel to each other, and these other 2 links are perpendicular to that. When you're putting charms on a charm necklace, generally you want to use only the links that are parallel to each other, which means that my next charm is not going to go on this link here, it's going to go on this one here. The other thing that you need to be careful of is you want to put them on the same side of the link. So you see how this charm is on this side of that link? It means I'm going to put my next charm on this side of the link rather than up here. So we're going to go ahead and lay that down as best I can so I can see where I am and what I need to do. And I'm going to grab my next charm and my next jump ring. Also, by the way, Mary, we're doing a Dallas Public Library event on Saturday the 27th from 11 to 3. Just telling you so I don't forget. Then I'm going to take my jump ring. I'm going to attach that to my charm. Now, what I find easiest in order to make sure that I don't screw up what side of the chain I'm trying to use is I'm going to look at this and I'm going to be like, okay, this is the side I want, so I'm just going to fold it together and attach it. Were we in the newsletter? Because that's exciting. Or was the event just in the newsletter? Because if we were in the newsletter, that's awesome.
Right.
Okay.
Always be in newsletters.
Alright, so there's that. I'm going to do my last one on this one here. But yeah, that is one of the keys of getting, our newsletter. It was, forget people read that. Yeah, that's one of the really kind of tricky things about working with chain, and actually working with a chain that is gigantic like this is really helpful because it's very, very easy to see like how things line up. So my last one is here at the end. So I'm going to attach that on. Oh, I don't think that's got a shortcut, Corvus. I should figure that out. So many things I should do. Right now I should finish this. Nope. Sorry, girlfriend. We'll fix it. Just not right now. Okay, so there's 3. I'm going to do the other 2 on the other side. I need to figure out where exactly that should link to. You made one? Oh Lord, I have no idea. Corvus is now just gonna start spamming the chat with random commands because she can't remember which one is the right one. Yeah, there you go. She figured it out. Okay, so that's 4. One more. The key is going to be 5. Okay, so that's all of our charms linked onto our chain. Ta-da! So obviously for making your own chain, you can make enough chain to go all the way around your neck. Or if you're lazy like me, you can do a finish like I did on here, which is, I kid you not, the simplest thing ever. This was literally a cheater, like, I want to wear this right now. What can I do with what I have in my house? But all it is 2 pieces of ultra suede or the leather of your choice, and you're literally just going to take one piece through one end of your necklace. When you're doing this, make sure that your charm stays on the proper side of your link. Oh dear. And I would do a double knot. On my necklace, I just have a single knot, but a double knot is more secure. Nancy is not wrong. Ribbons are also really pretty. Pieces of trim are cool. If you wanted to be extra secure, you could put a little dot of glue there, and then you can clip like so. You do not want to clip flush. You want to have a little bit that's hanging out, and then we're going to do the same on the other side. So again, I'm gonna do a double knot, preferably a square knot if you're good at that. I'm not always good at it. I'm gonna pretend I am right now. Pull it nice and tight. Make sure you don't snap your cord. Trim it close. Again, drop a glue on there if you want, and then you might freeze to death if I take off all my layers. But there we go. So that's the abbreviated version of our heavy chains and charm necklace. I'm trying to get it so I can see myself. There we go. So I will say that that I've lost my broadcast window. There we go. I just made it real small. I will say that the leather on the chain is a bit of a pain in the neck as far as just having to tie it on. But it does give you a lot of possibilities as far as layering goes, because you can really tie it at literally any length. So it's really up to you which, what is your preferred level of pain in the ass. But I do like the flexibility of being able to layer it at different lengths. So I do like the leather, but there's no reason you couldn't put a clasp on that. No reason at all. It is 37 here. The problem is that Beading Dreams does not have central heat. For reasons that I can explain if anybody wants me to. It's not because I hate my employees, but it's because the gas company here sucks. So we don't have central heat. We only have space heaters, and I don't have one of those in my streaming area. So I am chilly. But it is not 13 degrees, so I am grateful for that. So that is it for our heavy chains and charm necklace tutorial. Mary, I hope that gave you everything that you wanted to know about that particular project. If not, you know where to find me. So we will be back on this channel, twitch.tv/Beading Dream, in just about 15-20 minutes. We're surviving. It's the reason we don't have heat. Yay! The reason we don't have heat is because the gas company wants to charge me about $100 a month to have gas service. Okay, you missed the glove story. I ordered fingerless gloves and regular gloves, and the Amazon package blew away.
Oh no!
So I don't have the gloves, even though they were delivered. Even though I have a photo of them being delivered in front of my house, they were not there when I got home, because it was very windy, and I don't know where they are, but it's somewhere that is not my house. So I need to reorder fingerless gloves. But yeah, the gas company wants to charge about $100 a month to just maintain gas service, even though we only use the heat for about 5 days a year, and I just cannot justify $1,200 for 5 days of heat, so we just suffer through it. My employees are very nice about it and don't give me too much shit about it. And next week it's going to be back in the 40s and the 50s and 60s, so we'll live. But anyway, back on this channel, twitch.tv/Beading Dream. In about 15 minutes with our podcast, we're going to be talking about one of the necklaces that's in the Smithsonian, the Napoleon diamond necklace, which had a whole lot of shenanigans involving archdukes and archduchesses and all kinds of fun stuff before it landed in the Smithsonian. So that's going to be a really fun podcast. We're also going to be using the first 15 minutes or so of our time to unbox the box that we finally found from Silver, and that we actually did have pretty much the whole time and just didn't realize it. So I'm going to go vacuum, and we'll be back on this channel, twitch.tv. Oh boy. /Beading Dream in 15-20 minutes. So everyone, don't forget, Twitch does not always notify you. Discord does not always notify you of our second stream. So set a timer on your phone. You have 15 to 20 minutes to go pee, eat, grab a beverage, and get yourself comfortable before we start talking about crazy diamond shenanigans. Okay? So, everybody ready? We'll see you in a minute. 3, 2, 1, go.